You're watching H&L. I'm Ursula and we're speaking to Danita Da Costa on having a confident voice in the workplace. Danita,
Yes.
what limiting beliefs are you currently working on or have been working on?
Okay, so that's an interesting one. I think it's maybe not a limiting belief so much as just a change in perspective that I've had to have. I went to an all-girls school, a very little school, and we were taught that women and men are equal but different, and we as women could do whatever we wanted. And I left school very much of the opinion that the world was equal, everything was balanced, and that's just the way it was. Needless to say, it was a little bit of a shock when I hit the working world. And it's not so much that, I don't think it's so much a problem that we don't see women and men as equal, because I don't think we're the same.
Yeah.
Let me rephrase. It's not a problem that we don't see people as the same. We do need to see people as equal. We need to just make sure that we always view people on the same level. No one is better than anyone else. And that is regardless of hierarchy or gender or anything else. And I think for me, it was just learning to embrace that I'm different. I don't need to act like the men around me. I need to be who I am. One of the quirks we often discuss is I don't swear. And it's always interesting to watch how that influences the people around me rather than me allowing people around me to influence the way I speak.
And are you speaking specifically in the workplace?
Specifically in the workplace. Most workplaces, especially high stress, there's a lot of swearing. And I never say to people, please don't swear around me or anything, but it always fascinates me because they stop swearing so much. So I do chuckle about it, but it's a show of how we influence the world around us, and we don't need to conform to the world around us. So I think that's something that's really important, and just embracing the differences, because those different perspectives are what make things come alive. It's so much more interesting.
So it's really showing up in, hey, I'm different.
Yeah.
Let's work with it. I love that. Because it is hard for a lot of women in the workplace to tap in that feminine energy. Is there any tips you have for a young girl stepping into the corporate world who feels like, how must I have a voice when it feels like there's maybe a dominating voice?
So I think a big one is not whispering.
Okay.
And I mean that both literally but also figuratively. Very often I see it, particularly at clients, and the reason I say this is, as consultants we are trained very much to be in the room, we have to be there, but at clients it's less prevalent. And so what you'll see is the woman actually sit back from the table. I know Sheryl Sandberg's being in is somewhat controversial, but you'll see women sitting back from the table. They'll sit in the corner of the table or at the corner of the table and kind of shelter themselves, and it's the easiest way to get ignored and overlooked. And when you sort of whisper, excuse me, have something, or just even putting the hand up kills me when you're in a meeting and someone puts their hand up. Just be prepared, be confident to say what you want to say. So I think that's a big one. And learn to be respectful without being quiet, because particularly in South Africa, there are a lot of cultures that teach young women that you need to be quiet, and you never approach men, you never talk without being addressed. So it's about actually saying, well, people need to hear my opinion here, and I've got something worthwhile to say. It doesn't mean you're disrespectful.
No. And that takes practice. So if you're that first meeting you stumble and you're like, we keep trying. That's how you get stronger.
And push yourself to say something every meeting.
Yes.
Because it's very easy to not.
Yes. I also think, and push yourself to ask a question.
Yes. Don't be scared of them.
Because a lot of these also speaking forums afterwards, where there's an audience and they'll say, does anyone have a question? I force myself to ask a question, because if I'm going to teach people confidence, that's where I need to practice as well.
Yeah.
What does confidence feel and look like to you?
I think not being arrogant. That's one of the really important ones for me. It's standing up tall. It is speaking clearly. Trying not to speak too fast, which is always my weakness.
Good to know your weaknesses.
Yes. Don't let myself run away. So yes, speaking with confidence and with calm, trusting yourself, trusting that you know what you're talking about, especially with work. You've been doing it for a while, right? So when you're presenting your own work, you should be comfortable with it. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I see, especially with juniors coming in as grads again. they'll have worked hours on something, but they won't have the confidence to speak about it. So just trust that you've done the best you can. And if there's a mistake, it's okay. The world won't end. So remembering that as well.
That is such a big one, to trust yourself. When do we stop trusting ourselves? That's something that Nikki Robotham always says. When do we stop trusting ourselves? And I think it's, again, with confidence, is to you take those baby steps, and if you make a mistake, to say it's okay. And I'm just repeating what you said, but it was so good. Now, in this idea of confidence, what does it look like? Is it superficial? Because we've not gone really deep. Is it superficial to say that confidence is also external, and you can do something on the external?
Definitely. I hate to admit it because it's just quite taboo at the moment. But really, it is about making sure you feel comfortable and making sure you own it. And what I saw recently was I had a meeting with a client, and she was actually going to chat to the CEO just afterwards. So she said to me, as we said goodbye, she said, I'm just going to spritz on some perfume. And she said, isn't it ridiculous because it's a virtual call? And she said, but it just gives me that extra boost. And so it was the best example of not doing something for anyone else because her CEO would not see it across the camera.
No.
Or would not smell it across the camera, but it gave her that extra boost. So it's the little things that just make us feel more comfortable.
I love that. Just a little bit of a dash of perfume for your next Zoom meeting. Danita, where can people get in touch with you?
So I can easily be reached on LinkedIn. I am also on Instagram, but a little bit less reliable that way. So I think LinkedIn's probably the easiest way.
We love LinkedIn. So connect with Danita on LinkedIn, get social, chat with her. She's very approachable. And if you want to build your confident voice, you need that extra push and practice. You can go look at the Confident Voices website, confidentvoices.co.za. I've got my upcoming executive presence workshop in October and November, so go look at the website for more information there. We'll see you next week for another Confident Voice Boost.